Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of the Yawn podcast. My name is Jon.
And I'm Jadon.
And we make up the entire cast of the Yawn podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So far. Other than, that creepy girl in the back. She doesn't say much. She just kind of stands there and looks at us.
She gives us motivation to continue being funny.
I think she's in culinary school. I mean, she is always holding up that knife.
Yes. That's our motivation to go forward and be more wonderful.
Because she cooks us stuff. She's so nice.
Yeah.
That white dress and everything. Oh, she's just a deer. I don't know.
Her name is also Ashley.
Which is cool. We know a lot of Ashleys.
We know a non-zero amount of Ashleys. I actually ran into Ashley at the little neighborhood market.
Oh, yeah?
Down yonder. And she was gorgeous.
Oh,
goodness.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I was like talking to myself because I've been watching a lot of Do It With Dan.
Oh, the motorcycle vlogger?
Yeah. So, like, he talks to himself like he has a camera crew.
He just talks to himself.
He just talks to himself. So okay. I was at the Walmart and I had my little shopping cart and I pretended to be a motorcycle vlogger. And I'm like talking to myself as I'm picking out spices. And then this chick like walks past the aisle I'm in. And I just like stopped and dropped everything. I was like, "Oh, hello there. I would like to get your number." But I didn't say that out loud.
Aww.
I couldn't tell. It was like, again, that problem where you can't tell their age. So I was like, oh, man.
You've had problems with this in the past.
You know, we're...
Checking out 12-year-olds, Jon?
We're at that weird age in our life where some people look way older than they are. So I just don't risk it.
Well, the general rule of thumb is half your age plus 7.
Yeah, no. So technically I'd be fine if they were like 16. I would not be okay with that, but that's what the rule says.
Well, I said rule of thumb.
That's the rule of thumb. Yeah, it's personal.
Not iron rule.
It's not written in stone. But if it's written in pencil, which is graphite, which is a kind of stone, it still would be kind of written in stone. That's why you should write in pens from now on.
I hate pens.
I really like pens.
Why?
Because alright, so I like both pens and pencils, but I just like pens more because it's permanent.
Yeah, see, that's the exact reason why I don't like pens.
I feel so fancy when I write in pens, because we're not allowed to write in pens in, like, middle school, right? They're just like, oh, you can't do that, you're being stupid. So I use pens whenever I can.
I don't know. I feel like that rule is created just for me because I couldn't handle pens. I would make so many spelling.
Handle the pens.
I'd make so many spelling errors and everything. The teacher would just look at it and just like see this black blob because I couldn't erase. You had to scratch out the words. So she'd see these black blobs in my homework assignments and just look at me like, use a pencil.
That's what's so great about the pen. It forces you to spell better.
No, it doesn't.
You don't want those black lines. You don't want to look like the FBI, redacting statements on a piece of paper.
Well, what if I want to work for the FBI, Jon?
Well, then use a pen all the time.
I don't know.
How's your week been, Jadon?
It's been okay.
It's been an okay
I picked up a
week.
new job as a McSlave.
Whoop, whoop.
Which is okay, I guess. I'm going to be working morning shifts. So,
whoop, whoop.
That's not as fun.
Handing out me and my McMuffin.
Yeah. Wait, do we sell McMuffins?
Of course you do.
Okay, yeah. I guess we do. As you can see, I'm still kind of green.
Egg
whatever.
McMuffin.
Egg McMuffin.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's just like a bagel with an egg. You could just make that at home. You honestly could.
It's
not that hard.
It's actually pretty ridiculous. They microwave everything for the breakfast menu.
Except for the hash browns.
Except for the hash browns and the eggs. But everything else just warms up in their giant microwave.
McMicrowave.
Yep.
I love it. But yeah, I picked up a job at the McDonald's, like I said. It's kind of weird. I expected everyone there to be like super hostile, but not really. The one guy who was kind of a jerk transferred out. Like my first day was his last day.
Oh man.
So that was actually kind of awesome.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good luck there.
So I don't know how it's gonna work out, but hopefully I'll get enough. I don't have that many hours this month, which really sucks because I want the money, but it's whatever.
Yeah, they start you off slow. I had an interesting breakthrough on why I wasn't getting as many callbacks for job interviews as I'd like.
Oh, yeah?
And the callbacks I did get were really crap. Mm-hmm. Like, you could tell they want to hire anyone, so they are interviewing anyone who applied. And it just felt so weird.
Okay.
So I was getting super frustrated, and I went to my grandparents' house,
Mm-hmm.
and I talked to my grandparents for a little while. And we talked and we talked all about the job market. They're like, we see signs everywhere, and I'm telling them like it's just so rough. No one's giving me any interviews. It's so weird. And then I went home, and I started like grabbing all these papers. I went to like the Smoky Mountain Pizza.
Oh yeah.
I went all around Napa. I'm like, please just give me your stuff so I can sign them.
Why around Napa? Because if you're gonna be moving.
It was only businesses that I could easily switch to.
Oh, to transfer.
To
I see
transfer
what
to
you're
Boise,
saying.
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So I was going around, and I picked up a physical application for the first time in forever.
Okay.
And I had this physical application, and I was like doing all my other applications on my computer at home, except for this one physical application's like sitting next to me. I'm like, okay. So I start filling it out in the new pen, in wonderful, wonderful blue pen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get to the part where it's like, hey, list your references. I was like, oh, geez, I don't have my resume on my computer right now since it fried. I'll just go print off my resume, and then I'll bring it down here and just copy off of it. So I printed off the resume that I've been using for about a year now. Just to apply everywhere. It was my resume that I made so I could apply just to everywhere.
Yeah.
So I print that thing off, and I bring it down, and I copy down my references, and then I get back to work on my other things. And I'm like, I haven't had a physical copy of my resume before. I'm going to give this thing a once over. I got to the second paragraph. The second paragraph on my resume was my goals. My goal paragraph. So like everything else in the whole resume was wonderful. It was correct and professional. And then I read this goals paragraph.
Okay.
And the goals paragraph said this.
What's your goal?
The goal said, my goal is to work at the wonderful team at Best Buy and further my knowledge at computers. So
would you like to apply to Domino's Pizza? Yes, my goal is to work for Best Buy and become a productive member of this community.
Now, have you ever fucked up so hard that you want to become an engineer so you can invent a time machine to go back to not fuck up so hard? Because that's how I feel this whole week.
I don't know if that's the worst thing ever, but that's pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
I can just imagine you walking into a place like...
hundreds of businesses that have that resume, and they're just like, this John kid's never getting a job here. And it makes sense. It makes sense, because Best Buy was the first place that I needed a resume for. I was like, I'll type one up. And it's like, bam, super, for Best Buy, give me a job kind of thing. And they gave me an interview, like, immediately. I was like, this job applying thing is easy. And apparently I never went back and changed it. And I was just like, man, after that Best Buy thing, no one wants to give me an interview.
You've always got to update your resume.
I don't know what it is. Well, I'd look it over. I'd update my references and stuff. I just never looked at the goals page. Never.
It would be like asking out a girl that you really like, or a guy, I guess, whatever, going up to your crush and whatever, and being like, here's why you should date me, and like underneath like reasons why is like, I dated this person you hate 3 years ago.
Reason why you should date me. Your name is... What? Your name is what again? Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry about that, Stephanie. It's Ashley. Oops. Ashley. Right. You want to go to prom with me, Stephanie. Ashley. Ashley.
With me. My name is Stephanie.
My name.
Nice to meet you, Ashley. You can just call me Steph. Or Steven.
Stefano.
I'd prefer Steven. But, I don't know.
It's also my dad's birthday's coming up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's been drooling over a Glock.
Well, hand him a handkerchief. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty, actually. It's a terrible habit, kids. So, he wants a Glock that has a milled out slide. That way he can put a red dot sight on it. And this Glock isn't even, like, no one has access to this Glock. It's not in Nampa. It's a rare Glock. But we managed to pay a company in Boise to search us down one and purchase it.
Up one.
Yep. So we paid that, and I was like, all right, but it might not get here before his birthday. I have to hand him the sight because the gun doesn't come with the sight. So I was like, I'll go down, I'll buy him a red dot sight.
Other parts not included.
Yeah, I'll buy him the red dot sight, and then I can hand him something for his birthday and be like, bam, that's for your Glock, that's coming for your birthday, Dad. And he'll be so happy. So anyways, I bought him this really nice low-profile Glock
Yeah.
sight. And this is actually the main reason why I went over to my grandparents. I just ended up talking about the job market later.
Okay.
So my grandpa has one of these Glocks, but in the wrong caliber. So I was like, hey, would you mind if I came over and tested this sight on your Glock? And I tested it, and it fit perfectly. Because the sights that they want you to put on there cost like $300.
That's too many.
Way too much. The gun itself costs $700, and then $300 for a sight? Hell no. I spent $50 on a sight, and it fit on there perfectly. It worked. My grandpa was very impressed.
Nice.
So, like, I take it home, and I wrapped it up. And then my dad comes home today. Today.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I got back from a gun show, and I picked myself up a low-profile sight for a Glock.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, oh.
Way to go, Dad.
Yay.
Internally, like, oh, shit.
And, like, I just felt so, like, trash. Like, oh, what do I do about this situation? Because I can't return it. I tore the sight apart so I can relocate the switch that would fit on a Glock. Because it, wasn't one of those $300 sights. I had to do a little bit of wiring.
Oh, yeah.
No big deal, but it works. And it looks pretty good.
Wow.
So I just go, all right, yeah, show me this sight that you bought for this Glock. And it's basically the same sight, but then I immediately noticed that it wouldn't work on one of the new fancy Glocks. And I was just like, internally, I was like, yes.
Saved.
Yes. I'm like, oh, you can unscrew this from its mount, but you won't be able to mount it to a Glock because it has that switch there. He goes, oh, that's fine. I'm just going to buy a special mount for my other Glock. You guys don't have to get me that really expensive Glock. And then I was just like,
hey, there you go.
You could do that too. As the Glock's already on its way.
Just like, is that how it's going to be?
That's how it's going to be. But he's going to really enjoy that thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter. He can't mount that sight on his current Glocks right now.
Yeah.
And he's been drooling over this one so bad that it's his 50th birthday.
Yeah.
So we got to do something special.
The big 5-0.
The big 5-0 only happens once. Then again, so do your other birthdays. So
that's true. I don't know. Birthdays are a weird thing. I don't like my dad and I share the same philosophy that birthdays aren't a huge deal. So we just kind of keep it low profile. But for my brother's birthday, his wife, Ashley, she wanted to plan a surprise party, which I actually don't really like because I don't like surprise parties. Because Jared is spontaneous. He does things on the fly.
That's
so on
true.
the day of his birthday, he's like, hey, we should go catch a movie. And then Sarah had to shut him down because
Ashley.
she already...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Ashley. My bad. Because she already planned a surprise party thing. So, I don't know. I hate surprise parties because, you can't do what you want, basically.
Yeah.
If birthdays are supposed to be your day, why would... I don't know. I don't understand why someone else would think that they would know what to do on your birthday better than you would.
It's kind of a... I guess you're right. It's kind of a selfish thing to do, but it's the whole, hey, they're going to think that everyone forgot about their birthday, and they're going to be sad. And then they're going to be really happy because everyone actually knows about their birthday. And look, they're all here.
I think they'd be happy even if it wasn't a surprise. Hey...
Yeah, totally.
So, that...
For my birthday, actually, I'm gonna pull my birthday off Facebook, and I'm just gonna change it to the day before my birthday.
Nice.
And I will see who really knows, who really cares for me.
I'm terrible at birthdays. The only ones that I can remember are mine and Jared's, and that's because they're in the same month. I can't remember when my mother's birthday is. Can't remember when my father's birthday is. I can't remember when my other brother's birthday is. And that's sometime in March.
I can only remember mine and my father's. And I can remember mine because it's my birthday. I can remember that number. But I can remember my father's because it's May 4th. And I can just go, May the 4th be with you, Father.
Yeah.
Yep. It's impossible to forget it now. Just it's burned in there.
Yeah. I don't know. Days are weird like that. But you were talking earlier about weird Wait, no, I was talking earlier about like asking weird crushes out on dates, and that kind of reminds me of like awkward stuff that we used to do in theater
Oh,
in
jeez.
high school.
Yeah,
So you were in theater in your high school, right?
definitely.
I was in theater in my high school, and I think it's kind of tradition that every school has their own theater ghost. Like, did you guys have a ghost?
We did not have a ghost. We
What do you
joked
mean you?
about it. We
What do you mean
joked
you
about
don't
it
have a
for the.
ghost?
We joked about it to the freshmen, but it was never like,
That's
oh, there's a
dumb.
ghost. This is spoopy.
Well, I mean, we all knew it was a joke because, well,
Yeah,
the high school that I went to was like super recently constructed, so everybody knew that no one had died there because it was
definitely.
built just like last year.
However, the school I went to is 100 years old, and someone has
See,
definitely died there.
why didn't you guys take advantage of that opportunity to build your own theater ghost?
In fact, we have a lower. It's kind of like a underhall that goes to every building, since it's like
Oh,
old. It's
oh
like
yeah.
a passageway
Uh-huh.
that goes to every single building, except for the walls are lined in uh, some sort of poison.
Oh, like mercury or something.
No, not mercury. It was like I can't remember
Some type of old building material that they thought was safe.
exactly.
Yeah.
I want to say anthrax, but
Oh,
that's
anthrax.
definitely not
Let's
anthrax.
line the walls with anthrax.
It's some poison that we were not supposed to go down there. We went down there a lot.
John.
It was a thing to do. It was a thing to do if you want to like, hey guys, oh man, we're all after school. Uh, you guys want to go
You
check out
guys
the
got want to
crypt?
go get poisoned?
We're like, and we called it the crypt too, because it kind of was
John,
one.
I'm actually kind of disappointed. You had the perfect setup: the crypt, poisoned walls.
But our theater was not haunted.
Ah,
We never joked about it.
jeez, John.
Yeah, we're sassy people.
So we, I don't know. You guys were lame butts, but my drama teacher like really wanted this ghost thing to happen. So she made up this story about a kid getting killed while the school was being constructed. And so, because I don't know if she did it because of lack of imagination or whatever, but the ghost name is Jojo,
Jojo,
just Jojo,
Jojo.
which I think is really is really sad. Just because who would name their child Jojo?
No one.
And the story is also kind of sucky too. They, I should say we say that Jojo was skateboarding down the sidewalk, doing flips and stuff, because Jojo was a little rebel. Yeah, he landed in the where they were laying the foundation and cracked his head, skull wide open, and
Oh
right over the
no,
auditorium. And so that's where Jojo came from.
Jojo.
But anyway, so we had a theater ghost,
Hmm.
and we had to tell the story to all the incoming freshmen, of course, because gotta keep
That's
Jojo
yeah.
alive.
Gotta keep dead Jojo
And
alive.
we played some shenanigans with JoJo. So in our auditorium, there's this big catwalk
Hmm.
that goes like way above the audience seats, and if you're not looking for it, like you can't see it because it blends in so well with the ceiling, because they did a really good job on the paint. But we were having like some sort of party there where we were watching a movie and like spending the night there. I
Oh
think it
wow.
was just to like finish up a set or something. But we were all watching a movie, and we didn't know this until later, but our one of the people who was helping us out like went up to the catwalk with this gigantic stuffed teddy bear, and it was so perfect because this one girl was she wasn't sitting alone. She had like one guy on her left, and the seat to her right was empty,
Hmm.
and we were all sitting there watching the movie, getting really engrossed. It was some kind of stupid horror movie. I honestly can't remember what it was. But all of a sudden, this teddy bear comes falling down from the sky, lands perfectly in the seat, like he's watching the movie too. And
Hmm.
she like flips out, and because she's an idiot freshman, she totally thinks it's JoJo.
Jojo.
And we just laid it on thick. It was awesome. There are
Ooh.
so many shenanigans
Spoopy Jojo.
involving JoJo.
In my middle school, there's a ghost story about a kid in shop class
Uh huh.
at the middle school I went to, who cut off his finger on the belt sander
Wow.
somehow. He sanded his whole finger off on the belt sander.
Seems like he needs to get a grip.
Now the reason I know about this story is because I'm the kid who sanded his finger on the belt sander.
Oh my God, John.
In eighth grade,
Why? Why you gotta be so cruel?
in eighth grade I took shop class, and like I was like not paying attention and just slid my finger onto the belt sander and just like nicked my finger a little bit, And like I was like, oh no, it's bleeding a little bit, and the shop teacher like freaked out, and I was just like, oh, it just took a little bit. It's no problem.
Fine.
It just
It's
took a
fine.
little bit of skin off, and he made a big deal out of it. And then
Wow.
ever since then, he started a rumor that there's a kid that chopped his finger off on the belt sanders just to scare everyone else after my class into being safer in the shop class. And I found out about that through my cousins because they told me about the kid who shaved his finger off on the belt sander. I'm like,
You
oh
didn't spoil it for them, did you?
no, I was like,
Oh, good.
I was like, oh, really? And then I went to see that teacher, and I was like, have you been telling the belt sander story to everyone? He goes, mm-hmm. Everyone's got to be safer on the belt sander. How's that finger holding up? And I just like pointed at him, and it's
It's just
it's
like,
perfectly
gone.
fine.
It's gone.
It's perfectly fine, guys. Don't worry about it.
He doesn't want to admit it, but it's actually a synthetic finger that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, which really sucks because I'm a piano player and I'm a keyboard user for computers, so it sucks that I only have one real finger.
He uses keyboard pianos. It's quite complicated and really sad.
Yeah, I hook keyboards into pianos and then I play them with my nose.
He can't play Ode to Joy anymore. It's kind of more like Ode to Sad.
It's like smell to sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep on remembering all these old JoJo shenanigans. Like, I remember that I was in the play, The Diary of Anne Frank, and this might sound insensitive to some of you, but during rehearsals, we really like to horse around because high school students can't be serious all the time.
That's
You
true.
can try, but it's not going to happen. So, no, it wasn't during rehearsals. It was during one of the performances. So there's a Hanukkah scene in there, and I don't know what genius idea inspired Glennis to do this, our drama director, but we had a thing with like the menorah and everything with like real candles.
Wow.
And so we actually lit them. I still honestly question why Glennis thought this was a good idea, but we honestly lit them, and we eventually extinguished them. But the match that we used to light them, the guy who actually lit the candles, he kind of just waved it out, instead of actually checking to make sure that it was totally out. And so instead of, being smart and like putting it in like a glass or the sink or anything, he puts it on the tablecloth.
Oh wow, dude.
Oh yeah.
Was there a theater fighter?
Not a fire,
Oh.
because he put out the match most of the way, but
Most of the way.
most of the way. So anyway, it's sitting there on the table, and the tablecloth begins to smolder, and like it's quite clear that something is beginning to catch fire. So he starts patting the table, just like trying to get the fire out, and like in the meantime, we're all just like we try to hide it, but we're all starting to crack up, and the audience just like starts to crack up too. And then like during the next scene change, everyone looks at each other and it's like JoJo, totally JoJo, gotta be JoJo. There's no other explanation.
When I was in theater, we did a production of Star Wars, but it wasn't serious at all. It was more like a robot chicken clip show shenanigans funny kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And we wrote it. We wrote it all ourselves. We didn't get the script from anywhere. We wrote it ourselves and then put it on as a full stage production. And it was the last 3 movies because the first 3 don't exist.
Of course.
So we did the last 3 movies, and I was put as one of the lead writers for that show, well that production. So me and a couple other guys, we basically wrote the whole show, and since it was just a riff kind of funny thing, during the production we just would do whatever to get a laugh out of the audience.
Yeah.
And every night I said a different monologue because I was Emperor Palpatine. Every night I did a different monologue.
Nice.
And every night, as one of the extras, like that you just hear from behind the scenes, that you just hear out of the
Like a background voice.
yeah, like a background voice, like, "Oh, what are you doing here?"
Oh.
Every night that was completely different. And it was just so funny to do something and then see the director, like you could see the director from the wings of the stage, and just see him trying to not laugh because we did it different every time, and he'd like come up to us, he's like, just do it how he planned it. And then I'd just like shake my head.
You're
no.
just like, no.
Never.
You can try to convince me.
Never.
You can't take away freedom, sir.
Sir.
We live in America.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is America.
I guess not if he's trying to control you like that. How harsh. How cool.
No. He just like laughed. And he's like, you should really do it like we practice. That was funny, but you should do it like we practice, because like sometimes you never you write things and then he goes, oh man, this and this minority might find that just a little bit offensive. Like there was a line where a stormtrooper was gonna quote Scarface and just go, okay, I'm reloaded, and then just like run in. But he figured that was probably not appropriate.
Well, that it's only offensive if you like choose to take offense. Like that would be a totally normal line. Like, okay, I have reloaded my gun.
No, like we had the guy who did that scene pretend to be Scarface and shoot from the hip and everything.
Well, even at the same time, like, I don't know.
100% Scarface.
I guess people are kind of easily offended.
That's true. And that's something I noticed. It's like a thing to be offended these days. Like when you and I were growing up in like elementary school, people go, "Oh, that's offensive." All right. Okay, yeah, you offended me a little bit, but that's fine. It's an emotion that you feel, like happiness and sadness.
Yeah.
It's a normal emotion. But these days people are like, oh, you offended me? I feel entitled to something now because you offended me?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like,
I don't get it. I really don't get it.
A lot of people anymore just can't, like, tolerate the fact that not everybody is down with them. Like, but that's just how people are. Not everyone gets along with everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, sometimes it's not okay because, like, sometimes it's stupid, like racism. Like, that's not okay.
That's definitely not okay.
But, like, if you're just, like, making a joke between friends and, like, someone walks up to you who you don't even know is like, I'm offended. It's not like they're going to make any difference in your life because you only just met them that one day. Like, who are you going to be more worried about? Your friends or this person who says, I'm offended, and then you'll never see again in your entire life?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I don't know either. So you remember last week? This kind of ties into that.
Probably.
Remember last week how we were talking about how much time we spent thinking about, like, how we screwed up in just, like, little tiny conversations?
When you're lying awake at night and you just, like, remember all the times that
like,
you
have a flashback of every single time that you screwed up, like, you said something a little bit silly, and you're just like, oh, man, I wonder what they thought of me.
Oh, yeah?
Have you ever realized how much you don't think about people's screw-ups? How we spend time thinking about our own screw-ups, and we're just like...
instead of thinking about other people's screw-ups?
You're like, those people are probably going, oh man, I slipped this word when I was talking to John, and geez. And we never once think about that.
Think about how other people think about their own goofs.
In our heads, we're just like, oh man, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. But they just like, they didn't even care. They didn't even care that you did that. They didn't even notice. It's amazing how little people think about you.
Well, gee,
which
John.
is kind of sad.
Hey, thanks for that.
It's a sad feeling to find out that you're just a supporting character in everyone else's play.
I don't think that's always true, but like sometimes that is.
And to most people that you meet on the street, you're just a supporting character. But to you, your best friend, and your significant under,
significant under,
come
from the land down under,
ladies, if you know what I mean, significant other, if you know what I mean. Those people, you wouldn't be a supporting character, I'd say. But it's amazing how, like, you're when you're meeting someone for the first time and you're thinking through your head all the times that you screwed up when you're talking to this one person, how little they just noticed. They didn't notice that at all.
That's true. And I guess that, like, should be, like, a wake-up to me because, like, oftentimes I'm just like, especially when I'm driving, I'm like, why are you in such a rush? I don't care where you're going. You don't have an excuse to be rushing around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I don't know their life. I don't know their story. I don't know how much milk they want in their cereal. But, like, yeah, that's true. Because, like, when you're walking on the street, you're just, like, focused and worried about what you want to do.
Yeah,
you gotta go to class, or you gotta go to work, or you gotta go to the grocery store to get them milks because, you know, you're thirsty or whatever.
Definitely.
But, I don't know, people they're out there, and they live just the same... In their own minds, they are as important as you.
Exactly. They're the main characters. It's a whole kind of thing that philosophers, those people. Philosophers.
There you go.
It's an argument called who is the main character of the world.
I don't think they call it that.
We can look it up afterwards, but that's what I've heard it called.
That sounds way too
who's
informal.
who's the main character of the world, and
Well, you could look at the theory of sophilism. I think that's how it's called.
mm-hmm.
Like, which is the theory that, like, because you can't prove that anyone else is conscious or is living because you do not know if they are thinking,
Mm-hmm.
that means that you are the only person who is
relevant.
Who is relevant. Because if you go by the reasoning of I think, therefore I am, you can't conclusively prove that other people think. Logically, of course other people do, and of course other people think.
Yeah. Well,
But
I feel like that argument can be just like cut in half by Occam's razor.
yeah.
Just like that razor destroys so many theories.
But that's how people act. Like,
yeah.
I guess not in an extreme way, but like they just view themselves as the most important thing that's ever graced this earth.
Exactly. And
I know I am.
sometimes we do that.
I actually am the most important person in the world, so yeah.
Just letting everyone know that Jane's the most important person in this world.
Thanks for the backup.
You're welcome. So, I just wanted to say those things to get your mind thinking, because that's the end of this week's podcast.
Oh, man.
Oh man, we're gonna have to reconvene later.
Well, okay.
So, next time on the Battle Yawn podcast, Jadon's parents meet his waifu.
You will never understand our love!
Jadon-san!